A group called the Black Hunters desecrates the graves of World War II veterans to sell their medals. Their work is unethical, but highly profitable. The leader, Borman, is skilled in both history and negotiation. After closing a successful deal, he shares the money with his teammates. Oleg Vasilev, nicknamed Cherep, is a neo-Nazi obsessed with finding the Iron Cross. Spurt is a Rastafarian and rap enthusiast, much to Cherep's annoyance. Chuka is the group's nerd, responsible for research and technical knowledge. When the Black Hunters arrive at their excavation site, they discover another group of diggers trying to steal what they consider their treasures. Without hesitation, Cherep throws the first punch, starting a violent brawl. The Black Hunters win and drive the intruders away, warning them never to return. After a long, unproductive day of digging, the group stops to eat, only to realize their food supply is gone. Borman quickly deduces that Cherep, known for his greed, has eaten everything. As punishment, he cancels Cherep's share of the profits and sends him with Spurt to get more supplies. On the way, Cherep loses his temper and attacks Spurt, cutting off his dreadlocks in frustration. When they return, the others laugh at Spurt's new look instead of reprimanding Cherep. The group resumes digging and soon uncovers an old wooden fortification. Inside, they find skeletons of a doctor, an officer, and 4 soldiers, along with a safe, a pistol, and an antique clock frozen at the hour of their deaths. When the group prepares to test the pistol by shooting a skull, Borman suddenly stops as an elderly woman appears. Mistaking them for respectful diggers, she offers them milk and says she believes they are trying to properly bury the dead, not loot them. She asks them to find her son's cigarette case, lost where he died. The group sarcastically agrees to help. Before leaving, the offended woman suggests they go swimming in a nearby lake. Back at the site, Borman makes a disturbing discovery. Inside the safe are 4 military IDs bearing the exact same names and photos as the members of the Black Hunters. Shocked, they convince themselves they must be hallucinating, probably from drinking adulterated vodka. Hoping to shake off the effects, they decide to bathe in the nearby lake. As they swim, a hail of bullets and explosions suddenly erupt around them. Terrified and confused, they scramble out of the water naked, only to be captured by Soviet soldiers who accuse them of desertion. The group realizes, to their horror, that they have somehow traveled back in time to the year 1942, in the middle of World War II. On the way to the Soviet camp, Cherep hides his swastika tattoo under mud to avoid being executed. When they are presented to Captain Ivanov, a Soviet pilot, Borman takes a risk and claims they have come from the future. The soldiers respond with disbelief and mockery. Lieutenant Vyacheslav asks if the Soviets will win the war, and Borman confidently says yes. The captain orders their execution, but Sergeant Emelianov intervenes, suggesting that a recent bombing may have caused their mental confusion. He claims the group is part of a platoon attacked by the Germans and that they are the only survivors. Moments later, a soldier brings documents that confirm this story. Captain Ivanov cancels the execution and instead assigns the 4 to the front lines. Cherep befriends Lieutenant Vyacheslav, who turns out to be his future neighbor and mentor in war stories. During their talk, Cherep accidentally mentions television, confusing the officers. Borman quickly covers for him, saying it's the name of a newspaper. A surprise air raid interrupts the conversation, forcing everyone to take cover. Dr. Nina, a brave medic, tends to the wounded, drawing Borman's admiration. He confesses his feelings to her, but Nina rejects him, saying it's an inappropriate time. Borman tries to kiss her forcefully and gets slapped in return. Meanwhile, the soldiers defend the camp and successfully repel the Nazi attack. Later, during repairs, Borman notices Chuka bringing flowers to the infirmary, hinting that Nina has other admirers. Jealous, Borman pushes him away and tries once more to charm her. Though Nina rejects him again, she begins to show a faint curiosity when he tells her stories about the future. That night, Nina sings to lift the soldiers' spirits, accompanied by an accordion player. Spurt surprises everyone by playing rock and roll on a guitar, a completely unknown style to the 1942 soldiers. The music energizes the camp, except for Borman, who grows increasingly jealous as Lieutenant Vyacheslav draws Nina's attention. When everyone is asleep, Bormann tries to kiss Nina once more but is pushed away. Tired of rejection, he gathers his companions and insists they return to the lake, believing it might be the portal that can take them back to their own time. However, the plan doesn't work, and the group remains trapped in 1942. To make matters worse, the sergeant spots them acting suspiciously near the lake and becomes wary. When questioned, they make up a poor excuse, claiming that swimming in the lake is part of their training routine. Back at the camp, they are assigned to peel potatoes. Suddenly, an old woman appears carrying a jug of milk. Believing she is the same woman they met in the future, they beg her to send them back. She, of course, has no idea what they are talking about. Remembering her request from the future, they conclude that finding her son's cigarette case, belonging to Dmitry Sokolov, might be the key to returning to their own time. They soon learn that Dmitry disappeared during a mission a week earlier. Their situation worsens when Officer Zorin, a high-ranking commander, summons them. He informs the group that the lake where they swam lies in enemy territory, and that they unknowingly crossed a minefield. The Black Hunters claim they had no idea. Impressed by their apparent luck, Zorin assigns them a dangerous mission: to infiltrate enemy lines and capture a German officer. The sergeant will lead the mission, while Zorin keeps their identification documents locked in the same safe the group discovered in the wooden fortification days earlier. Spurt is horrified to realize that the bodies they found in that fortification were actually their own. When someone asks for the time, Bormann looks at his watch and says it's 16:42, the exact time frozen on the antique clock they had found. He then realizes that they only have 62 hours left to live and begins counting down the hours. That night, the team sets out on their mission and successfully captures a German officer, but they forget to gag him. The officer screams, triggering an alarm. A firefight erupts as they flee through the woods, with the Germans closing in. In a final act of sacrifice, the sergeant stays behind, holding off the pursuers so the others can escape. Before dying, he asks Bormann when the war will be won. Upon hearing the answer, he smiles, turns to face the oncoming Germans, and dies after taking many of them with him. The group eventually rests in the forest, a fatal mistake, as they are soon ambushed and captured. They are taken before a German colonel, whom Bormann recognizes from history books. To prove he is from the future, Bormann recounts the colonel's entire life story and speaks of the coming Battle of Stalingrad, the fall of Berlin, and Hitler's death. The colonel, embarrassed by Germany's future defeat, thanks Bormann with a drink and sausages, but still orders that they be imprisoned in a barn. Inside, they find Dmitry Sokolov, badly wounded. He tells them he has dug a tunnel to escape but broke his leg and cannot move. He gives them his cigarette box, asking them to deliver it to his mother. As the group prepares to flee, Spurt coughs, alerting a guard. Dmitry begins to sing loudly to distract the soldiers while his companions escape. Moments later, they hear gunshots. Dmitry has been killed. The survivors return to camp and report to Zorin. Furious that they failed to capture any enemies and that an ally has died, Zorin berates them. They keep silent about their capture. Later, Bormann visits Nina, who embraces him in relief. She takes him to a secluded spot, and the two finally share a kiss, but Chuka catches them in the act. A fight breaks out between the two men, and Zorin intervenes, imprisoning both as punishment. Nina pleads for their release, but Zorin refuses. Lieutenant Vyacheslav manages to convince him to free them on one condition: Bormann must remain confined until the next battle to prevent him from pursuing the doctor again. Meanwhile, the rest of the group debates what to do next. Yurep wants to stay and fight alongside their comrades, while Spurt insists on escaping to save themselves. Jugo, despite his issues with Bormann, decides to wait until he is freed. Spurt considers running away alone, but Cherep reminds him that Bormann has the cigarette box, and without it, none of them can return to their own time. The next day, Bormann is released shortly before a major battle begins. Assessing their options, they realize that returning to the lake is too dangerous, as it lies within enemy territory. Staying in camp is also impossible due to the bombardments. Their only choice is to fight. The battle erupts, led by Captain Ivanov at the front, Bormann fights on the front lines, followed by Cherep, Spurt, and Chuka. During the clash, Bormann is struck in the leg and takes cover in a bomb crater. Nearby, Cherep, Chuka, and Lieutenant Vyacheslav plan to destroy a German machine gun nest that is mowing down their comrades. The lieutenant hands Cherep a pair of grenades, but he hesitates. It's a suicidal mission. Eventually, Cherep and Chuka agree to go. Meanwhile, Nina tends to Bormann's wound, promising to return after helping the other injured soldiers. She then rushes to aid Captain Ivanov, who has been severely wounded. With the help of 4 soldiers, she drags him into a fortification, the very same one the Black Hunters would later find destroyed in their own time. Realizing the horrible truth, Bormann screams for Nina to get away, but his voice is drowned out by the chaos of battle. The countdown on his watch hits 0, 16:42, just as the Germans bomb the fortification, killing Nina and the others inside, fulfilling the fate Bormann already knew from the future. Overcome with grief but driven by vengeance, Bormann rejoins his friends. Together, they destroy the enemy machine gun and help turn the tide of the battle, allowing the Soviets to advance. But the victory comes at a cost. Chuka is shot in the chest. Carrying their wounded friend, the survivors flee to the lake. They dive in, and suddenly resurface unharmed in the 21st century. Everything is exactly as they left it, as if only a few seconds had passed. Bormann silently looks at a photo of Nina. Nearby, Cherep takes a sharp stone and begins scraping the swastika tattoo from his arm. As they head back to St. Petersburg, the Black Hunters spot a gang of neo-Nazis. Without hesitation, they prepare to confront them, determined to teach them a lesson once and for all. This is the end. If you got this far, comment the secret word, which is potato with cheddar, to help an unemployed person. Subscribe and like. Until next time, bye-bye.